We are live. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is episode 70 of Empire State of Baseball, December 7th of the year 2023. We are airing on Twitch, X, YouTube, and powered by StreamYard. Well, guys, it's a Thursday night in December. The season's long over. The postseason's long over. So a Thursday night episode means only one thing, that this is an emergency edition of Empire State of Baseball. And we mentioned it previously that as news...
Rich had an emergency opening that beer. Rich, what was happening there?
The amount of struggle and I you had it with immediately. Stop looking at me.
The amount of struggle you had with that high life is embarrassing.
Oh, man.
Lord.
But more on Rich's beer in a moment. But
this is like the third time you struggled to open up a beverage on this show. I mean, like, do we got to get this kid a sippy cup? What's going on?
Oh boy.
Sorry, Corey.
Hey, listen, it's a good observation to make there. But anyway, it is a big episode tonight because it's an unscheduled episode. And we mentioned numerous times as news breaks in the offseason, if it's worthy news to discuss, we will go live. Well, guess what? We're going live. One of the big offseason fish has found a new home. His home is in New York. That part of New York is the Bronx. So, Mr. Rich, now that you've got your beer situation under control, how are you feeling on this fine evening?
Thank God. Get me a beer can opener if I need one for this Christmas season. This was the emergency edition of Empire State of Baseball that I was praying to God for. Juan Soto is a New York Yankee, along with two more outfielders joining the mix with Alex Verdugo and Trent Grisham, and we're going to touch on all of it, but we got our guy. And if you go back a few weeks ago when we did our offseason agenda, this was the blockbuster move that the Yankees needed to make. Needed to make, because what this did was set up a foundation for what this offseason could be. And even if there's nothing past the moves have been made thus far, Yankee fans are going to come away satisfied. We got our guy. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, listen, the biggest hole the Yankees had last year was left field. I think they had the worst OPS for left fielders in baseball. And they just acquired the best left fielder in baseball. They went from worst to first with this move. And I know they gave up a lot of pitching, a lot of depth pitching, but, you know, like the Yankee offense was the issue last year, and you put Soto in that lineup with Judge, with Glaber, with a healthy Rizzo, with some amount of Stanton. It could be a bad time for some pitchers. It was exciting. It was such a weird story, though, how it basically broke Monday night? Is that when it kind of it was like this is gonna happen, and then there was rumors for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I was watching Yankees Hot Stove it was it was the most important thing in the world, and seeing poor Jack Curry up there just dying to say the trade's official. Such a weird way it went down that it bled for 3 days.
Yeah,
I think it's when Morosi dropped the finalized word. I think it was around 12 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday, as they're close to finalizing. That's when it was like, okay, this might be done here. But Corey, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say the same thing. I mean, looking at the Twitter feed that day, throughout the day, it was just like, all right, it's so close. It's on the verge. How many different variations of close and on the verge did we see all of the beat writers reporting? And
it was Curry's. The talks of intensified.
Mm-hmm.
It was every way they could just find a way to, because it's one of those things the reporters know. It sounds like, I guess it was the medical stuff. And then did you guys see last night? It was trade won't be officially finalized because the Padres front office is out to dinner or something. They're at some kind of dinner, and they're not going to sign off on this until they had their tiramisu. What are we doing?
I know.
What are we doing, Padres?
Yeah. More to come on that in a moment, because obviously the show, it's going to be all about Soto. We'll also get to Verdugo in a moment as part of today's agenda, talking about the new look Yankees outfield. But Tom, before we dive into more of the nitty gritty, why don't you tell us about one of our sponsor segments?
Sure will. Roback, if you guys have been following us for a little bit here, they've been with us helping us out a little bit. So we want to be able to help you out, especially this holiday season. Head over to roback.com where you're going to find the absolute most comfortable quarter zips, polos, hoodies. They got some new vests. They got pants, shorts. They have a lot of really nice women's things as well. Head over to roback.com. Use promo code TWASPL15. Save 50% on your first order using your email there. And like I said, the stuff is, I've been a customer for a long time. It's incredibly comfortable. We are getting close to the Christmas time. So I would say if you want to get some Roback under the tree, if you want Santa to put some Roback under the tree, you're going to want to order sooner than later because like everyone, they're pumping out orders right now. So go head over there, get promo code TWASP15, 15% off your
order. I got a new Q-zip from Roback headed for Christmas delivery. So it will literally be underneath the tree. Thanks to the code TWASPL15. What do we got there? We got
a cozy.
Oh, they said they send you a sticker with all the orders.
Oh,
so.
Sticker, nice. There you go.
All right. That's it. Okay, you get a sticker as well. And it went outside today. I think there was some flurries, right? We saw a little flurry action in the New York, New Jersey area. So perfect time to get warm this season. So get yourself over to Roback and use that code TWASPL15. All right, let's get into these trades, and we're gonna start off, of course, with the biggest one of them all. The blockbuster of the offseason thus far. That guy and another guy, Juan Soto. So Trent Grisham, Juan Soto headed to the Yankees. The Padres acquiring 5 players in the deal. Johnny Brito, who served well as the Yankees long man for a good portion of the season. Kyle Higashioka has been in the organization since 2008, and that's a soft, like, all right, obviously there's not much room for Higashioka in the season on the roster next year, but gonna miss him. Michael King, the headliner going back to San Diego. Of course, he had that phenomenal 2-month stretch in the starting rotation at the back end of 2023. Drew Thorpe, the Yankees' number 5 ranked prospect, according to MLB.com. And Randy Vasquez, who we saw he got a sip of coffee up on the major league level, 2-2 with 2.87 ERA, so decent numbers for Vasquez. But that is your deal right there, your 5-for-2 swing. Now, it's amazing how this thing kind of digressed. It started off as a 7-player deal, and I think most were under the impression that it was going to be 7 players for one Juan Soto plus cash going back. So to take it down from all the way to that number to this 5-for-2, and I got to say, I hear a lot of, the Padres got fleeced, I don't think the Padres got fleeced here. I think they got a good deal here, but I think the Yankees still win this deal. You did not surrender any of your top 4 prospects. You did not surrender Clark Schmidt, who's got more control and is younger than Michael King. And you did not surrender Anthony Volpe in a deal for a generational talent in Juan Soto. And listen, it's a guaranteed 1 year, but it's a year that it seems like this team is ready to go all in for 2024.
Yeah, no, it definitely seems like the Yankee off seasons of old, going ahead, getting one of the headlining talents out there. Because outside of Soto, the next couple of big name guys, all right, you got Ohtani. We'll get more into him a little later too, but he mentioned that no, he doesn't envision himself in New York. You got Bellinger, but come on, Bellinger is not in that same elite tier as a Soto, as an Ohtani. Yamamoto's a super intriguing name. Again, more to come on him later. But the Yankees went out and got one of those elite guys who was made available. And as Tom was mentioning before, I mean, he fits the need of this Yankees team absolutely perfectly. And we've said how many times the Yankees need a left fielder. They need outfield help. They need slugging help. I mean, again, this is a team that was meant to be built on lefty power, and they get the best lefty power guy, in Juan Soto. And looking at the trade, too, don't discount Trent Grisham in all this. That's if you're going to have a little bit of a kicker added to a trade, I like that Trent Grisham addition, too, because even though he won't, probably won't be the everyday starter. Maybe he can end up in a little bit of a platoon at some point, but he's a very good defensive outfielder. And I'll tell you what, watching from a Mets standpoint, of all the guys, Trent Grisham always killed the Mets. So I'm happy to get him out of the National League, too. And to your point, Rich, too, with the guys you gave up, I definitely thought it would have been a little more. You got to keep a lot of your great players. The interesting name in all this is Michael King, because we had a lot of discussions about Michael King the last 2 months of the season, and even go into our offseason agendas and whether or not he was going to be in the rotation, in the bullpen. August and September, he was constantly in our Bull of the Week picks. I mean, his name was always up at the top there late in the season. So that's a tough name. You are giving up a lot of pitching depth. All right. Higashioka, it is what it is, but you are giving up a lot of pitching depth. So I think that's where the Yankees will now have to shift their focus to in the second half of the offseason here, is focus on rebuilding that depth. But looking at it from a high level, you are getting a generational talent. All right. And if the biggest name in terms of MLB impact that you're giving up is Michael King, you could sign multiple players right now in free agency with the same pedigree as Michael King. So if Michael King was the holdup of not doing a Soto trade, you don't deserve to be a GM. You have to make that trade. It's a generational talent, granted for 1 year. Maybe they could find a way to extend them before the offseason. Probably not, but it's possible. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Michael King, again, was really good at he's really good for the last few years for the Yankees. It's mostly out of the bullpen, started to start at the end of last year. But he's going to be 29 years old next season. He's not 24. Like he's not this and I'm not trying to crap on him on his way out the door. He was great, and I was excited to see him in the rotation this year, but we're not talking about a guy who's 24 who's on the verge of taking that step to becoming an elite pitcher. He's an older guy. It took him a bit longer to find. He's had some elbow issues before. Actually, that's what I was worried about, was taking this deal so long if there was in medicals for that long. With King's elbow issues, I was having nightmares.
Yeah,
that was gonna prevent the trade from going through. The Yankees probably, the safer bet is Clark Schmidt to have him still in the rotation. He was very dependable last year. So it'd be great to see him still in the rotation. And yeah, you added, and with Grisham and with Verdugo, which we'll get to, you added 3 left-handed hitting outfielders. Yankees had none of those last year. Besides, if you count, what's his name? Florial, because of the switch hitter. But you're not counting on him to play. They had really no left-handed hitting outfielders. That was great. It was great to see them address the issues that they've had.
Yeah, and Tom, you kind of alluded to it before, and this is why I like this trade even more. And to just touch on Grisham, the Yankees last year, when it came to their left field, center field situation, I mean, you saw guys step into a role that, to be honest, they didn't really deserve. I mean, Billy McKinney, Jake Bowers, Willie Calhoun, these guys should not be. These guys should not have IKF in a way should not be on a major league roster playing a starting outfield position.
That's it. IKF deserves to be on a major league roster. He does not deserve to
be a starting outfielder for the New York Yankees.
Center fielder.
What the Yankees did here is not only did they secure themselves their corner outfield for at least the short term, but they got credible major league players. Now, just in case somebody goes down with an injury, you're not subbing him with a spring training invite. No, the guy who's going to step up is a proven major league talent that probably deserves to be on most starting lineups across baseball. So if it's Giancarlo Stanton that goes down for the 55th time with an injury, Alex Verdugo can now slide in as your DH, and Trent Grisham absorbs the center field spot. So you're not going to be replacing these guys with fringe players. You're going to be replacing them with credible talent, and more importantly, left-handed talent, which is one of the focus areas that I had made mention to. Actually, 2 of the focus areas, because I wanted the Yankees to address left-handed contact and left-handed power. Arguably, they got that 2-1 with Juan Soto alone. The Alex Verdugo, I know we're going to get into in just a little bit. But the Yankees really overhauled what their outfield is going to look like. So I guess the one more note here with the Padres-Yankees deal, like I said, you look at the Padres, who they're getting back in return. I mentioned the number of players that the Yankees didn't have to part with to get Soto. But for Yankee fans that are out there, and trust me, there are. I listen to the fan. There are Yankee fans out there who feel like the Yankees gave up too much. Some even said that It was ridiculous that they even gave up on Kyle Higashioka of all people.
Those aren't real people.
Well, let me tell you,
we don't like allow those people to have voices. Like they don't count.
Yeah, we got to start opening up the phone lines here on StreamYard, and maybe we got to get some of these people
I
up.
know. I mean, if someone would thought Kyle Higashioka was the guy who was going to be the difference maker in this trade, I mean, I don't know what you're thinking. You must be like his cousin or something.
We're not wasting time on these people.
Correct.
I'm not going to waste time on these people, especially with Higashioka. You know, Brito, of course,
I
a
love
reliever,
Higgy.
but you kind of have one in Ian Hamilton who can draw up 3 innings. So even if you don't get something similar on the open market, you kind of have one internal already. Michael King's the one that hurts, but you know, this guy did go down with a fractured elbow in the middle of 2022, and who knows what will happen if that injury.
And that wasn't even. He didn't get hit with a ball. He fractured his elbow throwing.
Through a pitch.
Like, that wasn't like it wasn't a freak injury. I guess it was a freak injury, but it wasn't a contact injury.
And the note on the prospects going back with Thorpe and Vasquez. Listen, I think I've seen both Thorpe and Vasquez pitch in Somerset. Loved what I saw. Of course, Vasquez, I think, did not do too bad in his MLB stints. But we've seen in the past over these last few years, and this is where I kind of I gave Cashman criticism on hugging prospects. Name me Yankee prospect pitchers that developed into something, whether it was for the organization or for the teams that they were traded to. It's not many.
It's been a long time. And listen, every team has top pitching prospects, right? But how many actual aces are out there? How many Garrett Coles are out there? How many, Justin Verlanders are out there? There's not many, but every team has 3 or 4 top pitching prospects. So listen, maybe Drew Thorpe becomes Garrett Cole. Most likely the chances are he's not. The chances are he has a better chance of never pitching in the major leagues than becoming Garrett Cole.
Right.
So it's the game you play. You have to roll the dice on these guys. We know Soto is not guaranteed beyond 2023. I'm sure the Yankees are going to try. They would love to lock him up, but it might not be possible. And we highlighted some of all the benefits of having him on the team in 2023 going into 2024 on the last episode we did. You get to basically see what it's like to have him. Like, you're gonna commit wherever he signs at the end of next year, he's gonna get $400 million plus. Kind of nice to know if he fits your locker room. Kind of be nice to know if he gets along with Aaron Judge, who's the captain of your team, to going into that.
I lied. Sorry, go for it, Corey.
No, I was going to say, and right off the rip, I mean, the Yankees now have the inside edge to re-sign Soto. I mean, assuming everything goes well, he's got they have the inside edge. And New York has always been a city that he's loved. I know he's teased a lot with the Mets too. So now he's in New York. He's in the city he's wanted to go. So now the Yankees have the inside track with him already being on the team.
And I lied. This is the last point I'll make, so specifically on this deal for Juan Soto. And I forgot the point. There you go. I forgot it. It's gone. I don't remember what I was about to say.
Thinking about that highlight, and he just couldn't.
I'm drawing an absolute blank right now on what I was going to say on this freaking trade. But I know we're going to get into Alex Verdugo in a little bit. Tom, Corey, any closing points on this while I try to collect my thoughts?
Yeah, I just want to bring up, too, I mentioned it several times on our recent episodes, but going back to the Yankees' need of some slugging from the left side, OPS, they were the 24th ranked team in baseball. That is not where the Yankees have been in the history of my lifetime, at least. They're typically one of the top 10 teams, not at the bottom tier of OPS. You're bringing in 2 guys, and the team OPS for the Yankees last year was 701. So you're bringing in Juan Soto, who had an OPS of 930, even Alex Verdugo. And again, he's not a slugger by any means, but OPS of 745. So 2 guys whose OPS is better than the team average. And looking at the Yankees outfield last year, with the exception of Aaron Judge, who is arguably the best hitter in baseball right now, Soto and Verdugo both have a higher OPS than any other player except Judge. And I'm not going to count Dominguez. He only played 8 games. Outside of those 2 guys, they're better than every other player who played a single game in the outfield for the New York Yankees.
I mean, it can't even be close.
Correct.
There's no way it's anywhere. It can't be close at all. I mean,
Correct.
So obviously Soto, but even Verdugo, like the
Exactly.
Yankees' outfield was atrocious last year.
Correct. And outside of Michael King, who was going to play a very legitimate role on this team next year, the rest of the guys, you're giving up more depth pieces than legitimate starters than anything else. So you're adding two guys to this team who are significantly going to help in your significantly worst area outside of Michael King, without impacting the major league roster you had last season. You do have to get some more depth pieces, and they will do that. But they just really improve themselves as a baseball team going into next season.
All right. Well, I'm back, so apparently my Wi-Fi is drunk too. Let's get into Hugo. But before we get into that, I just want to give you guys a quick note on our social medias. Starting with Instagram, make sure to give us a follow at Empire State of Baseball, at Corey Favs, at JR Pugs, even though he's not here, at Rich J. Rivera, and at T. Waspel on Instagram. And of course, on X, where we are streaming live, of course, give us a follow at ESP Podcast if you haven't already. And individually at G. Gory for Corey, at JR Pugs for Joe, at Rich, myself, and at T. Waspel. All right, let's talk Verdugo. So this deal came out of nowhere. I mean, when this news dropped the other day, and I don't think anybody expected these two teams to be working in this offseason for the Yankees to acquire a major league talent in the outfield. And when Alex Verdugo got dealt, and here's a trade here, Alex Verdugo to the Yankees, the Red Sox acquiring Richard Fitz, who is the Yankees' number 12th ranked prospect based on MLB.com. Nicholas Judas, he is the 2023 MLB draft pick out of the 8th round for the Yankees. 6'8" too. That was a cool note to read on him. And Greg Weissert, who has been up and down with the Yankees as a relief pitcher for the last couple of seasons. Last year posted a 4.05 ERA, and the Yankees, of course, getting Doogie. 264 average last season, 13 homers, 54 RBIs. This trade came out of nowhere. And how I compare this deal, it was very much similar to what the Yankees did to get Nick Swisher in the 2008 offseason prior to signing Mark Teixeira. When the Yankees acquired Nick Swisher, they brought him in thinking that, hey, this could be our starting first baseman if all else fails. They went for a safe trade with the White Sox, brought in Swisher, and still ended up signing Teixeira anyway. When Verdugo got traded to the Yankees, instantly I go on X and people are like, there it is. They've lost out on Soto. The Yankees are just getting Verdugo to play left field. That is all.
Those people are
idiots. Quite frankly, those people are idiots. And quite frankly, when the news dropped, I was like, all right, now can we get Soto done as well? Like what's happening here? So Verdugo joins the squad. This is a guy who doesn't strike out a ton. Listen, 10 to 15 homer pop. Who knows how that translates in Yankee Stadium? I think the only real downfall with him is defense. And I know we'll get into that when we look at the overall defense of this Yankees outfield now. But Verdugo, solid player, gritty player. Felt like he was a Yankee killer every time the Yankees played the Red Sox. He just come up in a big moment. So it was nice to kind of fry that away from Boston. Weird deal that the Red Sox and Yanks worked together this offseason. Actually, the first time that they had major league talent exchanged in the deal since Adam Ottavino went to the Red Sox back before the 2021 season. So Dougie to the Yanks. Tom, what was your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I mean, it was surprising. It was definitely surprising to see. I'm pro any left-handed hitting outfielder we could get. I didn't think I said it directly at the time. You could check the timelines of our Twitter account and mine as well. This was not the move. And I think at the time of doing it, I don't even think Cashman thought, well, if Soto doesn't happen, this is the fallback. I think he knew Soto was happening. It was just a matter of time before it they can make it official. Even at that point on, I think it was Monday, the Verdugo trade came out. Listen, he's a gritty player. He's a league average hitter, but that is a massive upgrade for the Yankees outfield compared to last year. Last year he had a 100 OPS plus, meaning he was average. He had a very weird end of the season last year. The Red Sox benched him at the end. So there was definitely something going on there. Change of scenery, I'm sure, is going to be good for him. And also only have him for 1 year. So if things don't work out great for him, if there is still like a bad attitude thing, if he's not hitting, the Yankees could easily bench him, or they could trade him or release him. It's not like you've committed a lot to getting Verdugo, but I think the upside is there. He's a guy who can get on base. He's a guy who could, I think we're going to, at the end of the episode, talk a little bit about potential lineups. He's a guy who could lead off. If you're going again, if he's hitting well and you're going against a righty, having a lefty ahead of Judge right there could be attractive for the Yankees. I think Verdugo let off a lot last year too. So I think it's good. Yeah, I know he had the whole fight with the Yankee fans in the outfield. He climbed the wall and tried to fight, Jimmy from the Bronx. So that wasn't great. But listen, he's a feisty, fiery guy. He's a less talented, but maybe what we kind of thought Josh Donaldson would have been, right? A guy who will pick a fight, who will get gritty, get dirty out there. Donaldson was a massive failure, but maybe he can be that for us and give the Yankees a little bit of an edge. He's also a guy who, I feel like I'm rambling, but he's a guy who has won, right? He was on at least one of those Red Sox World Series team. No, was not. Never mind.
Yeah, he joined 2020.
Yeah, so no, he's a loser. But we'll make him a winner with Soto.
He was with the Dodgers too before that, so he's a guy at least with postseason experience.
Yeah, I don't know how much he played because he was like in
Yeah.
and out. I feel like at that point, but yeah, he's been around organizations that are known as good organizations, and let's say it's 1 year.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing too, when it comes to the offseason, not every move is going to be one of those elite talents. I mean, you can go multiple off seasons without acquiring a Juan Soto type talent. But the moves that really make or break a team outside of those massive acquisitions is really those depth guys that are going to round out the roster. So if you're putting a guy like Alex Verdugo now as an everyday player in that lineup, again, just mentioned it before, considerably better than every other option that the Yankees threw out there in outfield outside of Aaron Judge. And the defense, yeah, right, the defense isn't great, but your own GM said it yourself. Stanton's probably going to have at least a little bit of a stint on the IL. And then what's that going to do? It's going to open up the outfield for Grisham. So now Grisham's in center field where he belongs. You put Judge in right field where he belongs. Soto in left field. Verdugo DHs. Maybe you give Judge a blow DH. Soto a blow DH. There's a lot of flexibility when it comes to that. Don't worry about the defense right now. I look at it from an offensive standpoint. It checks a need of needing to acquire multiple outfielders, preferably left-handed bats. So that's a couple of needs right there. OPS, again, if Soto wasn't here, Verdugo is the second highest OPS outfielder on the Yankees right now. It's a great addition. Not a superstar by any means, but a great addition to the lineup.
I have an idea in my head as far as where this team can go, and I think this lineup, what the Yankees did, could put a lot of pressure on Giancarlo Stanton keeping his spot in the batting order. Because think about it this way: these guys stay healthy, and they're doing their thing. Judge, Soto putting in MVP caliber seasons. Verdugo doing his thing. Not bad season, but certainly bordering that good. On base percentage is solid. Batting average is in the 270, 280 mark. A guy who probably should be in your lineup. And let's say even Grisham. Even Grisham pulls through in the minimal appearances he has, but they realize how good his defense is in center field. But let's say out of all those players, now you have Giancarlo Stanton doing what he did last year. Struggling. Not doing his thing. Not performing. Could you see a scenario where the Yankees tell Stanton, it's time to take a seat? Verdugo goes in at DH, and Grisham plays center field with Judge and Soto on the corners for a decent part of the season.
Trent Grisham would have to hit a lot better than Trent Grisham can hit for that to happen. Trent Grisham hit like a $180 last year, a $190. Like, he was bad. I understand that he is a great defensive center fielder, but like you can't sit Giancarlo Stanton and have a guy hitting a $180, $190 in there. That doesn't.
My point is, I think
work.
the more major league talent you bring in, I think there's more pressure on a guy who's struggling, and that the fan base wouldn't mind seeing him sit down on the bench, especially if he's not pulling his weight.
I do think they will have a very long leash with Stanton. But if you get to a situation where all of a sudden you're past the All-Star break, let's say you're in August, firmly in the playoff conversation at that point in time, hopefully competing for a division if you're a Yankee fan, and Stanton's hitting this, around the Mendoza line, and he's running around the bases like he did that one day he got thrown out at home plate.
Whoa. Running. Giancarlo doesn't run. Giancarlo Stanton
around the base. Yeah. Trotting around the bases, then it's a different conversation. But he will have a long leash before they make a potential switch. I don't want to say it's impossible, though. I definitely think it's feasible. We'll see what ends up happening. But it's going to be a long leash until something like that happens.
Well, we'll see how that goes down. I know we want to get into some lineups here. I think one point I do want to make, this came out from Andy Martino yesterday with a contact that he had connected to the Steinbrenner family. Stressing that the Yankees do have a willingness to go over the $300 million cap and get into the luxury tax here, more commonly known in New York as the Cohen tax. What were your thoughts on that, guys? Tom, I mean, does that give you the confidence to say, like, how is always willing to spend the money? It's just, now you have pressure from the fans. You got to go to this fourth tier. You got to make the fans happy.
Yeah, I mean, if that gets you, I think they should be willing to go over it if it's gonna make sense, meaning they're gonna go out and sign Yamamoto. I don't think it would. Granted, listen, it's not my money. Please light your money on fire for all I care. Spend it on every the best players. You guys, your organization's worth, I think, $7 billion. You could afford whatever on payroll and how much money comes in to the organization. But yeah, if it's, to be like somewhat smart financially, I guess, if you're going to go out and get Yamamoto, cool. I'm fine with it. If you're going to spend that money on, I don't know, like other players who are of a much less caliber, and you're just kind of like filling out the roster and just spending $10-15 million on guys just to deal with it, then no, that doesn't make sense. But yeah, the Yankees should be on Yamamoto. There's been a lot of weird rumors that were going around the winter meetings that they were very bullish on him. They thought that like things could happen, and we'll see. The Yankees, it does seem, our missing compadre Joe likes to bring it up. I think he does it as a reverse jinx usually for the Yankees. But when the Yankees want their guy, they get their guy. You really can't find a time when they didn't target someone and say, this is ours. Everyone, this is ours. They didn't get him. So we'll see.
Yeah, and this will be very interesting, too, with Yamamoto, because when was the last time we had an offseason where we had a potential legitimate battle between the Mets and Yankees targeting and coveting the same exact player? From a Met standpoint, Yamamoto is the number one target. If they don't get Yamamoto, I wouldn't call the offseason a failure because I don't know what the pivot move would be. Maybe there is a good alternative, but he is clearly the Mets' number one target. And a lot of the Mets moves so far have been those depth moves. I mean, we touched on Severino in the last episode. Again, that's a guy, fifth starter for the team, fourth star for the team. They've been linked to a lot of depth guys. Yamamoto is the golden egg. And that's the move that's preventing a lot of these other moves. The Mets need an outfield. They need another middle-of-the-road starting pitching, bullpen help. It's all dependent on Yamamoto. Cohen will spend the money. We've seen him spend the money. Granted, you could say it didn't work out because the Mets did not win a World Series after spending that money, but they did flip the older pitchers for some good talent. But we'll see what happens with that. And looking at the Yamamoto, look at the four of us, for example. Rich just pulled it up right now. We're all either Mets or Yankees. Tom's on the Yankee side. I'm with the Mets side, Rich with the Mets side as well. And I do think Yamamoto is going to be the opposite of Ohtani. Ohtani is going to go to a big market team that's not New York. Yamamoto, I'm 95% positive, is going to one of the two New York teams. So we'll see which one it ends up being. The fact that they are saying they do want to break the $300 million threshold now, it scares me a bit as a Met fan because now that puts the Yankees in legitimate position to make a big-time offer. The one thing on Cohen's plate is the money. I know he will spend the money, and if it takes $250 million, which now it seems like that's the minimum now it's going to take for Soto every day.
It sounds like $300 million. The last thing I saw.
It went from $200 million potentially to $225, $250, $300s being floated around. I trust Cohen to spend the money when it matters, but the fact that the Yankees could now be in that position too, it does make it scary because if you want to talk about branding, Yankees brand is probably outside of the Dodgers, and I think the Yankees have a better worldwide brand. The Yankees as a brand are better than the Mets. And so unless Cohen in this Japan trip made a very strong impression on Yamamoto, or unless Cohen offers significantly more, if the offers are similar and Hal's willing to break that threshold, I am legitimately scared as a Mets fan that the Yankees are going to poach him.
I'm going to be in the minority of Yankee fans that states this, but I kind of hate that they're going to go over the threshold. I kind of hate it considering that you've had these teams lap the Yankees over the last few years that have not even half the payroll as the team. And it kills me to think that they just need to throw money at the solution every single time. I had thought over the last few years that they were going to find the creative way to not do it, to just, all right, it's going to be their big contract, but they're not going to get crazy. It's going to be a big contract here, then they're not going to get crazy. Then they're going to rely on some of the younger players that don't cost as much. But now it's gotten to a point where the fans have put so much pressure on this team that they have no choice. And it sucks because I feel like this team could still do great under 297. They could still get creative. If they even wanted to sign Yamamoto, I would sign off on trading Gleyber Torres to stay under the 297. I don't know. For me, it's just kind of like, all right, it's old Yankees business. Let's throw money at every problem. And I don't know. I just don't think
that's the Yankees. I mean, the Yankees' two greatest strengths are the money and the brand. Like that's what the Yankees not using the brand and the money is like telling Garrett Cole you can't throw your fastball. Like that's their fastball. Like that's what they have. That's what they, like the Mets right now with Cohen, like with them, like I mean, like the Mets, like, hey, let's be smart with our money. Like, no, your asset right now is all of Steve Cohen's assets. That's what the Yankees. That's what they do. That's the team. That's how it is kind of always been. So flex that muscle. It's not my money. Go spend it. How? Let's bring more guys in. Let's bring another starter in. Let's help some bullpen. Let's get after it. Let's go after 2024.
All right, Thomas. So you're going to give Corey and I a couple of a few seconds here to figure out our projected lineups. But while we do that, give us the Twitch, YouTube information that our fans are so excited to hear from you.
Sure. Yeah. So we would love for you to check us out live on Twitch or live on YouTube. So that way you can be part of the show, get involved in the comments, really get your voice out there. You could find us on Twitch and YouTube at Empire State of Baseball. If you're also YouTube, make sure you're liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, caring. And I don't know. Yeah, it's the holiday season. We should be caring about all kinds of things and sharing what we have. I don't know. I got nothing else.
All right, let's wrap that with your opening day lineup for 2024. So if you're in our chat right now, if you want to throw out what would be your 9-man lineup if the Yankees offense stays the way it is, everybody's going in healthy, what would be your projected opening day lineup? Now, Corey, I know you're the contrarian on this, but do you want to take a crack at this?
Yeah, I will. And I know a lot of lineups now, they tend to have, either Judge projected second. Now you're seeing Soto second. I'm going to go a little more traditional, have them as the 3-4 hitters. And Tom, I know you mentioned it before that you could see Verdugo towards the top of that lineup. And I am going to go with a lineup with Verdugo at the top. I'm going to go Verdugo 1. I'm going to go with Gleyber Torres 2, rolling off his hot season. Protected by, who else? Aaron Judge, number 3. Soto 4, Stanton 5 in the DH spot. Then 6, I'm going to go with DJ LeMahieu. DJ LeMahieu going down there as well. Actually, no, I take that back. My apologies. Rizzo, then DJ LeMahieu. I'm going to go with the catcher spot. So Trevino, assuming he's healthy, in the 8, because I do like Volpe hitting 9 there too. Gives you a little bit of speed. I like having the speedier guy in that 9th spot, because if he leads off the inning, maybe gets a single, steals a base, and all of a sudden you got the guy on second, no outs for the top of your order. So I'm going to roll with that lineup. I'm going with Verdugo leading off, and the big power bats 3, 4, 5 in that order.
Fantastic. Thomas, how about you?
So I like Corey. Really would love to see Aaron Judge not hitting 2. I think we've talked about this
Mm-hmm.
before. I would love to see him hitting 3 or 4. But if we're going to go, what do I think the lineup will be? I will lead off Glaber, playing second. I will then go with Judge in center, Soto in left and the 3 hole, Stanton DHing in the 4 hole. I think they're going to want to, do lefty righty as much as they can. That gets Rizzo in the 5. That then puts DJ in the 6, Verdugo in the 7. And then I guess Trevino or Wells, whoever happens to be catching in the 8th hole. And then I always love the double leadoff, situation of having a fast guy in the 9 hole. So I will put Volpe in the 9 hole.
All right, I was loving Corey's lineup 1 through 4 so much that I'm doing the exact same thing. I got Alex Verdugo leading off in center field because I do not want my big man Aaron Judge patrolling that position even for half the season. I don't trust it. And I understand this is why you have Trent Grisham to come in. But now you're flip-flopping our big man from center to right field. I want him to be in his starting position in right field. I want Soto to stay in left field. And I will live with Verdugo taking up most of a game in center field. Now, here's the thing. The good thing about Alex Verdugo being your leadoff hitter, what I would do following Verdugo's 3rd at bat in the game, sub him out for Trent Grisham. Because more than likely, Grisham will not get a plate appearance. And if he does, it's just 1. And he's going to be your center fielder for at least 2 innings of the game, maybe 3.
Especially
so I think that it's a flexible sub for Trent Grisham, who's really not going to see a plate appearance, but he is going to patrol center field for the last third of the game. So I got Verdugo in center leading off, Gleyber Torres hitting second base, Soto 3 in left field, Aaron Judge 4 in right field. I got Rizzo 5 at first base, Stanton 6 in DHing, Austin Wells the starting catcher hitting 7. So lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty, righty, lefty from 1 through 7. Batting 8th, not DJ LeMahieu. I have Oswald Peraza starting at third base for the Yankees. There is no benefit for Oswald Peraza, who, by the way, is out of options, to be on the bench for the New York Yankees on the big league level. I think that has to be DJ LeMahieu's role, at least to start. Or at least if you want to have him do what he was signed initially to do for the Yankees a while back and spell 3 infielders, that's going to be DJ's role. I think you get a lot more out of Peraza being your third baseman and getting that playing time. And then I have Anthony Volpe rounding out the order, batting 9th and playing shortstop. So at the bottom third, you have your kids getting their at-bats, doing their thing, while the veterans at the top 6 positions are getting their things done. Verdugo's removed after his 3rd at-bat for Trent Grisham. And I think that is a well-oiled machine to get things kicked off for this New York Yankees team in 2024.
And I think your third base option, too, with not going with DJ LeMahieu, go with Peraza instead, actually brings up one of Tom's points that he brought up as a focus area, was trading infielders. So there's still a lot of offseason left. And let's say Yamamoto, for the purpose of this conversation, let's say he goes to the Mets. And now the Yankees. But that gives the Yankees some trade ammunition. You could get one of these rumored starting pitchers now using one of those infielders.
Why not both, Corey? Why can't we sign Yamamoto and then take Gleyber Torres and acquire Corbin Burns? And then we go Cole, Yamamoto, Burns, Rodon, Nestor. Oh, what a...
I mean, that would be absolutely filthy. I would also be absolutely devastated. If I don't get Yamamoto, I'll be very upset. But we'll see what happens. But that is an option. I don't disagree with your point, Rich, about wasting him on the bench. I just don't see them sitting DJ LeMahieu extended period of time. And maybe there's a chance they do like a 4 out of 7 split, something like that, 4-3. They're going to move some of those guys around too. People are going to get hurt. People are going to move around. The DH will be rotated out a little bit too when Stanton's not in there. So we'll see what happens.
Yep, I do agree that they do have some moves, I think, to make, because they still have some redundancy that they have to deal with.
And I think if they're going to make any trades, and I know back in my OSA, I was talking about Brendan Donovan, but if that's not a move to add a player, which I don't think they would do, I think their next trade would be to subtract one. I know we talked about Ben Rortvedt because he's out of options. I know there's a minimal move there if he's not going to be in the starting 26-man roster come opening day. But yeah, Tom, I think, listen, if it's not Gleyber Torres, maybe DJ LeMahieu, maybe Anthony Rizzo, maybe one of these three guys could possibly get moved to free up some payroll. I know it's tough because the minimum is at least a $15 million.
I'm going to need you to stop talking about the Yankees cutting payroll. Well, we need to start realizing that this organization is worth $7 billion.
All right, Thomas, I'll go play
money,
the show. And keep my team in the second luxury tax tier and win World Series. So we'll go and do
they
that.
They can afford it.
But
don't worry. I'm not going to lose any sleep that Hal's going to be paying a little extra on the tax here as he's just raking in everything else.
I think we're good to wrap. Hopefully by the next time we do this, it is about a Yamamoto signing, whether it's to the Yankees or to the Mets. I know we have an episode that is scheduled in January that we keep talking about for the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Temporarily, it's number 71, but knowing how this offseason might go, it's probably going to be number 74, 75 by the time it comes around. So make sure to find that ballot on X and leave your vote for the ESBBWAA. But Corey, take us around, man.
Yeah, listen, I just want to give one thank you before I hand off to you guys. Thank you to both of you for joining here on very short notice today. No thank yous for the Mets yet. We have to make some moves before I give Stearns a thank you. But thank you to both of you for joining today and the Yankees for giving us a reason to meet once again. Rich, who do you got to thank today?
I got to thank for the first time, I feel like in years, Brian Cashman. I don't think he's getting enough credit here. For pulling off this deal with AJ Preller. It was a fight for the last week or so. Probably go back further than them when they started kicking the tires on Soto a long time ago. But Cashman got it done. The foundation has been laid down. Juan Soto's a New York Yankee, so I will thank the Yankees general manager for getting it done. Thomas?
Yeah, I'll echo that, and I'm excited for the season of Yamamoto. We got half of it. Let's give me the first half of that.
Oh, I hope not. But
Soto season.
We'll see. And I have a feeling that episode will be before Christmas. I think we got one more in us in the year of 2023, but we shall see. But to all our fans who joined in on Twitter or X, YouTube, Twitch, thank you once again for tuning in. We will see you next time. Take care.